Welcome to the SLP Student Hours Form for undergrad observation and grad school clock hours. This sheet allows you to capture all of your hours in one place using a bunch of drop downs and 3 different tables. First is the Big 9 areas, and you can edit this section to show the names however you want. The second table is a list of your clinical coursework, and there's plenty of room for a lot of experiences to be recorded. These columns here can be edited to reflect any information that you would like to capture. You don't have to use these headings, but here is a required field, and this one is required as well, so that the sheet can count the hours. And the third table is a list of all of your day-to-day entries that will ultimately add up to your grand total number of hours. And so how it works is your subtotal will be listed here, and when you make a selection to view a certain course, it's going to filter that information and subtotal that specific course. When you delete this cell, it will reset the form and show you the total number of hours for all of your clinical experiences. The instructions to use this sheet is listed on the side, which you would not print, and you would start entering your courses down below. And this is entered manually by you, so you can put any information that you want here, and when the course is done, you would put the total number of hours that you have completed so that you can see a matching total at the top. As you conduct your observations or your clock hours, you would put those experiences down here in this list. So whatever course that you enter here will be available for you in this drop down. If you add a new experience here, your drop down table will update. Then you'll be able to add that course and the number of hours that you either observed in treatment or diagnostics, or that you work directly with a client in treatment or diagnostic. If you are entering 1 hour and 15 minutes, you need to convert that to a decimal, which is 1.25. And if you need to just double check yourself, you can jump to this calculator and enter a time here and see that 1 hour and 15 minutes converts to 1.25, or you could just Google it. Back in the sheet here, the total was added for that new course. You need to indicate the area. We see now that that total is showing up here. Let's hit delete here, and that will revert back to the total number of hours. If you don't need all of these spaces, leave them on the table so that you have the ability to add something later. Now, if I've selected this clinical practicum 2 and see that it's 55 hours, this third table is still showing all of my experiences. I need to sub-filter this here by clearing and then making that selection. Then the subtotal of hours will update and it matches. And now my supervisor can see that I provided clock hours here, and these are the areas of language that were associated to that experience. I can print this out by clicking on this top cell and just dragging down to the last row. And going into my print menu, I can then select to print the current cells so that my instructions don't appear. And then I can set up my printout like that. My supervisor and I can sign that sheet. If I wanted to scan that approval, I can scan it and attach it here by creating a link just to keep everything organized. And so now that that course is over, Speech 729 Practicum 2, I can hit delete. Select everything back onto the table so that all my hours are showing. So let's take a look at the next course. That information will update. My supervisor can sign here. They would see on the printout this running total. They would be signing off on the header here for the 135 hours that appear here. And then after I've filtered this, that number would match this as well. And so again, by clicking in this first cell, dragging all the way down until the last row, and printing the selected cells only. Now I can reset again by doing select all. It's going to jump to the 400 number. And if I hit delete again, this number will update as well. And so now if it's your last semester and you're having your exit interview, you can close that up. You can close up this search bar so that all you see now is your grand total of hours, and it's organized here based on the area and whether it was observation or clock. Under each one, they are organized by treatment or diagnostic. So that's how that sheet works. Also included is a caseload tab here that would allow you to enter students that you may provide services for during your externships or clinical rotations. And here you have the space to enter up to 5 goals for each student. So if a student had 2 mandates, like this example here, he's seen twice weekly in a group of 3 and once individually, you would enter that on 2 rows. Because it's the same student, you will just copy and paste the goals that are associated to that student, because no matter when you see that student, they'll be working on these goals here. And what this table allows for is a data collection template. There's 2 different versions. This one is more condensed, and it can count how many sessions you have in a day if you put in the information, and there's a separate tutorial for that. And this version is something that you can use for organizing as you learn how to take data, and it works by using the same drop-down method where you can select the student, and then the goals are going to be automatically pulled in from your caseload table. And then if you want to print that out, you can print it out. You can change the student and have those goals updated, print that out. And here is where you can organize your short-term plan, your behavioral objectives for the session. You can put the information in the headers that is appropriate. And when you select the start and end time, it's going to calculate the duration of each of those sessions. It's organized by goals. So goal 1, here's the long-term goal and what you would have included as your short-term plan. A section here for you to take up to 100 trials if that's something that is relevant to the goal. And then your SOAP format. So you have your subjective component here for the entire session. Your objective for each of the goals, you can indicate the accuracy. You can check off the level of support and the type of support for each of the specific goals. And again, the assessment allows you to do the same thing where you can make a selection for each of the goals and then the plan for the upcoming sessions. One thing that you can do with this sheet is that if you don't want to use these indicators, you can change that. So here's how you would do that. So each of these sections correspond to the below sections. You see each of these items here. And you have up to 2 additional spaces to add other descriptors here. But let's say I wanted to rename this to illness. Basically the same thing, but just showing you that in the subjective section, it automatically changes. And then Q level, if you wanted to change that for the objective section, the Q level here will also change. Now in the objective section, all of those entries will change. And I figured that 5 different categories for each one would be a good starting point. The same thing works for this data collection template, where that information is listed up here, and it's using the same type of logic. So you can customize these sheets in any way that you need to. You can also change the highlighting of any of these cells by just changing the color. If you wanted to print in black and white, for example, and just change whatever borders that you would like. Totally customizable. There you go. That's everything for the SLP student hours form for your undergrad and grad school clinical experiences for SLP.